This is a painting that I'm currently working on, and I just wanted to walk you guys through the basics of how I painted all the flowers around the outside, because while it looks like it would be very, finicky and time consuming, it's actually not so bad. So I've done another layer here, and you can see I've got a bunch of references of chamomile flowers because I want to really show you just how different each flower can look. It's not just a circle with a bunch of petals around the outside. Some of them are missing petals, some of them are smaller, some are larger. And you can see here like the way that the flowers kind of emerge from the depth in that one photo. So I just kind of like to take in all the different possible shapes. And then I've got just a lighter color here, and I'm basically, this is a simple hard edge brush, and this is almost like finger painting. If you were to ask a kid to draw a flower, they would draw a flower that looks like this, and you would think there's no way this is gonna look good in the end. But I promise when you zoom out and see everything, it'll be fine. So this is kind of just a basic one, and then we've got one that's a little bit more back swept with its petals, some that have petals going more up and some going more down. Just using the references, just vague guidelines. It's not about precision here and getting exactly how a chamomile flower looks, because it doesn't really matter. Nobody's going to be looking that close. Nobody cares that much. And you have so many to do that taking shortcuts is a great way to just make sure you get your painting looking the way you want it to look. And that's one of the great things about working with digital. So I've just going in and putting in the centers here, starting with a dark color to give some shadow, and then I'll go in and gradually build up a few lighter colors to give a little bit of that yellow hue. But because of the nature of my painting and the fact that there's a lot of blue tones, you can see that I'm using very cool tones when painting these and not the sunnier tones in the reference picture. And when I flip back over to the original painting, you'll see better what I mean by that when you compare it to everything else. So I just go in and I make a handful of flowers like this, and then I will basically duplicate my layer. And I guess before that, I kind of go in with a lighter color and lighten up some petals, because some petals are more illuminated and some are more in shade. And you can just see that just going over a few petals, you don't even have to give it that much thought. It just gives it so much more depth and interest, even though you're not doing that much. It's just adding a lighter color over the top, and that's it. And once I've done a whole bunch of these, or a handful of these, is when I start to go in and I will duplicate the layer and drag the flowers to other parts of the document. I'll rotate them around, flip them, and just, make use of those amazing digital shortcuts that you have when you're working with an app like, Procreate or Photoshop or whatever you're deciding to use. Here I'm just doing in little bits of leaves and stems, just really basic lines, because the composition is so dark, it doesn't need a lot of detail, just something to ground them a bit. I feel like I've gotten ahead of myself multiple times talking about the layers, and then I got in here and I messed it up because I forgot I was painting on a solid background, whereas the flowers should have actually been painted on their own, so I could actually separate them out and duplicate them. So we'll just go back to looking at the original picture to show you an example of how it looks when you do this a bunch of times. You paint a bunch of flowers and duplicate them over and over again. And, I'm still working on this, but as you get layers going, you just kind of keep going over the top and adding more flowers or cleaning things up, trying to remove things that add to the repetition. But when you zoom out, you can see nobody really cares that it looks like you were making little finger painting flowers. It just looks like you spent all day painting.